Alright, Efilist video, I think. Yeah, so let's go start from the beginning again. Yeah, there's a universe. Woo! Yeah, we have to account for that. No, we don't. We know what it is, basically. I mean, it's this matter thing comes into being in this crude form. I mean, it starts off as little bits of atoms. The atoms are formed. They become more complicated, more heavier, however you want to describe it, inside the furnaces of the suns of the universe. That's where all the heavy metals are made. And yeah, and then those elements, 100 and whatever of them, combine in different arrangements and create things called compounds, like peanut butter and DNA. And rocks and all kinds of different things are made out of oxidized or carbonized, or, you know, there's a few elements that are really good at making lots of other kinds of compounds. And so it becomes a compoundium, the universe. Yeah, maybe it'd be better if we had a different word for it. A compoundium. Lots of different compounds, arrangements, connections, bits of energy stuck together. And then as they bounce around in the compoundium, they keep nuancing, they keep acquiring new pieces stick to them. So it's like, you know, it's not that hard to imagine how this would happen. You know, if you just kept buzzing through a medium, kept moving through it, you would keep collecting bits of dust and crap and shit, and you would get more and more compounded. And then you add a component like evolution, and there you go. You know, the compoundiums, the bits, the players keep. Hey, pup, are you gonna be friendly? Huh? Are you friendly? Come on, come on, come on! You gotta catch up. You're way behind. Pretty dog. But you know, dogs. You always wonder what the hell they're gonna do. Yeah, because I've been through that one. Yeah, oh look, nice dog. All of a sudden, you know, he's got your face in his mouth. Anyway, where was I? Compoundium. So anyway, so yeah, compounds. And so it's doing this evolution thing. Evolution's a big word. You really can't avoid it. I mean, if you can't get the concept, if you don't buy into it, I'm sorry. It's just, you know, you fail dismally. Because that's what the matter's doing. It's just aging. And by aging, by going through this process of time, it's changing. And it's changing into all kinds of complex bits. How you doing? Nice dog. So yeah, you know, that's the game really. So it's just a bunch of matter aging, really. It's a universe aging. It's a segment of the universe aging. We're kind of in the quiet part of the universe, so we can age without being reborn, without being smashed to pieces, as most of the universe is. The compounds in the rest of the universe keep smashing into each other and bashing each other back into little bits again to get rebuilt. But that's what's going on here. There's a pool table of the compoundium, and there's no place to hide on the table. There are places that are less active. You know, the middle of the table's really active. If we roll out there, you're not going to last too long as an aged compound, as something that's been around for a while and has acquired a thickness of dust, of evolutionary dust, of evolutionary nuance. Yeah, but there are corners of the pool table that they don't get much traffic, and that's where we're hiding. We're hiding from the action in a quiet place where the radiation is low and where compounds can do this. They can age. They can have a whole history of millions of years. This rock has been around and has been pushed about and you know, moved around by ice and time, and it's had time to evolve. Now the rock didn't evolve into anything because its compounds aren't made to do that. Its compounds don't have that capacity, let's say. They're not enriched compounds. So we're the product of enriched compoundery because of this DNA molecule. It's like a bit of radiation. So 3.5 or 4 billion years ago, or 3 billion, who cares? Some number of billions of years ago, our first ancestor arose on planet Earth. A compound, a DNA molecule. That's right, a string of compounds, of elements combined into other compounds, and then those compounds compounded into a double compound, into a very complicated arrangement. Not even complicated is a tricky word, as it's always relative, but yeah, I mean relative to hydrogen, it's a complex arrangement. And it has this property, like anything else has a property, like the moon, like the sun. It does things. Well, this compound, in the right circumstances, will reproduce itself. And so it, through this bouncing around on the pool table, it bounces into another compound, and that combination provides an environment suitable for the reproduction of that molecule in a form that allows it to carry a blueprint, that allows it to now evolve based on how that molecule changes. So changes in the molecule will be reflected in what the reproduction will look like and how it will function. And now you have accelerated mega evolution. Now the interactions are magnified a million times in terms of how much dust you can collect. Because now you're not just collecting dust. Now you're like glue and static electricity and magnetic and all that stuff. So now you're able to develop a very complex bunch of acquisition through time. You'll acquire a rich complexity because you'll have all kinds of things sticking to you now. And that's sort of what these DNA molecules, they're all related to one DNA molecule, and they're all evolving. They all have a heritage. That plant has a history, a 3.5 billion year history of ancestors who survived. I do, you do. We're all the survivors of billions of years of molecular nuance and change, and the game is a competition game to survive, and so you become suited to a way of existing that makes it possible for you to survive. And so humans, we're just minor monkeys. A couple of million years ago, small population. They didn't cover the earth. They weren't terribly successful, not as successful as a cockroach or a butterfly, but they had this potential in terms of they were developing, like other mammals, a reasoning sense, a capacity to navigate the environment with a learned intelligence. They would learn from their parents. So not only were they given a genetic component that defined their identity, they acquired a learning component that defined how well they functioned. So now the two things were evolving: culture and the physical identity, the physical potential. And they were feeding on each other in the sense that one would be adapting to the other. Your physiology would be adapting to what your culture could tolerate. And so this had, in some sense, a very negative impact on the physical structure of the human, because now we became smarter, more manipulative of the environment, and less dependent on physical strength. So we became a weaker physical beast because we became a stronger cultural beast. We could take advantage of knowledge, and we could accept defects in our physiology. And it might be one of these dramatic defects in our physiology that opened the door to language acquisition. It might have been the first language-capable human, might well have been a physical retard. I mean, it's ironic as that sounds. It might have been an incredibly weak organism, but it had the strength of a potential to conceptualize in a way that no other before it had been able to do. But whatever, it doesn't matter. The first human, we know it just happened. There was a first human, a first language-capable beastie, that could go to grammar school and high school and learn how to be, learn how the world works and acquire something called the intelligent quotient. So anyway, and so as this is also happening, what's happening is we're psychologically evolving to suit this environment. And that depends on social relationships that you can see in other species where to enhance genetic diversity, a small percentage of your offspring or the offspring will be ejected and moved off into other tribes or other gangs or however you want to metaphor it. And there'll be this fight within your gang for supremacy and alpha status, all because these things are enhancements to keep the genetic code strong, to keep us capable of doing what needs to get done. And unfortunately, a lot of times what needs to get done is you just need to be very good at scheming, very good at figuring out what the other guy's thinking or doing, and then tripping him up. And that's how victories are won. Most of the fighting in nature isn't an honest contest. It's a dishonest one. It's a fixed contest. And it has a lot to do with just good and bad fortune, whether it's your day or not. Let's see, what else? And how good you are at shielding yourself with some other mechanism to take the fall. But anyway, that whole psychology thing is probably pretty important to get into, is that everything that's going on in our psychology is related to this mechanism of survival and reproduction. And the two necessary components to that are the fact that we are group animals, gang animals. We don't survive on our own as individuals. We first need a mated pair, and we second need usually an infrastructure of other humans to be able to capitalize on the environment and protect ourselves from the attrition that would take place if we were on our own. We'd be too easily taken down like other prey animals. That's why they are in huge herds, is because there is strength in numbers. And there's a durability in that consolidation. That's why there's schools of fishes, because they win by being too monstrous to eat in one meal, but spread out they would be extinctionable. So anyway, all our perceptions of ego and glory and accomplishment, and it's all tied to these silly, well, let's not call it this, just say these contrivances of the biology, of the nature, requiring us to meet this burden of success. And it's just that, a contrivance of the circumstance. It has no rudimentary integrity. Our pride and our love and our dependencies, they're all just psychological manifestations of creating a need machine, a beastie capable of organizing the compounds to consume and reproduce. And in the end, that's all it is. It's accomplishing nothing. It's just a bunch of matter. All these leaves aren't accomplishing anything. There's no ego gratification. If they had a consciousness, they'd feel quite defeated, because there is nothing. There's a futile existence and a futile end and the whole thing is for nothing, just because a molecule acquired the property of reproduction. That's all there is. So, I've expired